Just ahead of elections in Germany, the country has once again slipped into recession. Data released this week showed a contraction of 0.2% since last year, pushing the economy to the top of the agenda for the next government. Deutsche Welle correspondent Mathis Richtmann joins us now live from Berlin. Mathis, Germany is in a recession for the second year in a row. How did we get there?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. To get started, Germany has simply become less competitive in key business areas, which is highlighted by the fact that car makers here aren't at the forefront of electric vehicle transformation. China is. Secondly, Germany is getting old, which means really we don't have enough workers to do the work anymore, which has companies here struggling to fill vacancies. And companies here were used to very cheap energy because we had been importing cheap oil and gas from Russia before its full-scale invasion into Ukraine. Those costs surged, as did the cost of living more generally. A mix that is bad for Germany, especially because it used to rely on being able to sell products abroad. Now, there's one last thing business owners here keep telling me. The last government wasn't able to provide much certainty on where it's headed. The three-way coalition here kept bickering about laws, which made it quite hard for businesses to make investment decisions. And that infighting in the end led to the collapse of that government in November, especially because it couldn't find common ground on financing key policy objectives.
So elections are set to take place in Germany in about 5 weeks' time. What are the key challenges the next government has to fix to put Germany's economy back on track?
Yeah, building on that, overall it's about stability and clarity where the country's headed. But three areas stand out: energy, workers, and infrastructure. Take gas, which powers chemical industries here and heats our homes. By the way, we have about 0 degrees Celsius here in Berlin right now. And but the problem is our gas storage is projected to run critically low going into next year. Any new government will have to find ways to secure supplies, especially since shipments that we still receive out of Russia may be sanctioned as well. Secondly, we're massively short skilled workers and workers per se. The last government had put together agreements with a couple of countries such as India and Kenya to invite people to come over here for work. But in the upcoming elections, the far-right AfD party is projected to make massive gains. They oppose migration, and some say their anti-immigrant rhetoric makes Germany not very attractive to people who would come here for work. And a new government would have to find ways to bridge those gaps in German society. And third, Germany's infrastructure is really in dire straits. People here tend to say, if I take the train, I will be late anyway. Hundreds of bridges here need refurbishing, and we're quite far behind on digitalization, which includes just, basic access to broadband internet. Fixing these things will cost a lot of money, but the strict constitutional rules here on how much money the government is allowed to spend led to a collapse of the government late last year. So any new government will have to cut deep into Germany's financial fabric to fix infrastructure.
And are political parties now lining up ideas to push into that direction?
You would think so, but it's actually a quite weirdly mixed bag. In their published manifestos, the political parties seem to have outdone each other on tax breaks, which makes sense because of the cost of living crisis gripping people's budgets here. Anybody, would be happy to get some tax breaks. The problem is that the overall proposed tax breaks of each of the parties are so large that any new government would have much less income, which in turn means much less money to invest on those urgent challenges. Two parties have suggested to change those constitutional rules on how much debt the government can take, rules that are some of the strictest in the world.
Okay, Mathis Richtmann reporting there from Berlin. A new South Australian program is hoping to change the perception